Now, recently, there's a public hearing about mandatory masks in Florida, and it went about as well as you'd expect. So now, Palm Beach, Florida, Palm Beach County specifically, is experiencing like many other places in Florida and places all over the country, a massive spike in COVID-19 cases. So as a result, uh, the leaders of Palm Beach County decided to hold a vote to require mandatory masks in most public places, right? So now, before the vote, of course, there was a public comment period, and I agree that you should have people that should weigh in on this, and so now during this public comment period, there was a lot of insanity. Let's just say insanity, right? And I put together some highlights, or I guess really they should be called lowlights, because what you're about to see is quite a bit of crazy. Take a look.
Every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. And you, doctor, are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity.
I would die for that country. I would die for the Constitution. And you know what? You disgraced me. You know why? You did not listen to we the people. You made your decision.
Our police officers who are putting their lives on the line every day, you want them to wear a mask? You want no oxygen going into their brain?
Every single one of you have a smirk behind that little mask, but every single one of you are going to get punished by God.
When are you going to start with the defund the police? Because we know whose side you're on.
And they want to throw God's wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it. Can you prove that it's good for people to breathe carbon dioxide over and over and over again?
You cannot escape God. You cannot escape God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Your time has
I
expired.
also heard you say this is a democracy, and I'm sick and tired of hearing you say that. It's a republic.
You're trying to get the people to train them so when the cameras, the 5G comes out, what? They're gonna scan everybody. We got to get scanned. We got to get temperatured. The kids have to go to school with masks. Are you insane?
Are you insane? I don't know. I was just thinking that. Are you insane? Kind of sounds like it. I'm just saying. Wow. So let me just. I want to apologize to the creators of Parks and Rec, right? Because I remember when they used to show those town hall meetings in Pawnee, right? And I remember thinking, boy, the people of Pawnee are really stupid. There's no way that regular people are this dumb and uninformed. Oops. I was wrong. I can admit it. Holy shit. And that's not all of it either. That was an entire 3.5 hour meeting. And yes, there were people out there that were like actually going and using facts and science and saying, no, we agree with this decision. I think this is great for public health. There's a few of those people, but then you also had a group of people that were crazy, that were just crazy. And they were, of course, the Trump voters. They were in the back. In fact, there were people with a literal Trump flag back there, and they were, of course, the most vocal. So now here's the thing, right? The reason that they're doing this is because they had an increase of COVID-19, right? You know why? It's because people were not wearing masks or social distancing. So you would think that, okay, let's try the opposite. Let's try masks and social distancing, and let's see if the COVID cases go down. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, right? And so, of course, these people are arguing, oh, no, masks hurt you because you're breathing in your carbon dioxide. Okay, let me just explain how the mask works. It's a pretty simple concept, right? So now air molecules are very small, right? Oxygen. That can go through the mask. So you literally get air. I mean, are these the same people? Do they believe that glass stops air? Like your windows? Obviously not, because when you close your window, you don't suffocate. All right? It's kind of the same thing with a mask. It allows airflow. Now, what it doesn't allow is water droplets. Water droplets exhaled from your mouth, right? When you speak or when you breathe, right? Especially if you're like a spit talker. Well, the mask is there to stop the water droplets that contain coronavirus. Those water droplets can float in the air and then get breathed in. I know it's kind of gross, but it gets breathed in by people. And then, oops, look at that. You've got coronavirus in your body because you have just inhaled it. And of course, it replicates and mainly affects the lungs. The mask stops the water droplets. That's the whole point of wearing a mask. So you wear the mask, even if you're a seemingly healthy person, to avoid contaminating other people and other people who wear the masks, because a lot of cases are asymptomatic, which means you don't have to be exhibiting symptoms in order to shed the virus, at least to the current understanding of what we know about this virus. It stops that and protects everyone else. So if everyone is wearing masks, then nobody's spreading the virus, especially if we are all staying 6 feet away from each other. This is really, really simple. This is so, I mean, it's rudimentary. It's obvious. And this lady's like, you want to wear, one of those people actually, you want cops to wear masks so they don't get any oxygen to their brain? You got no oxygen to your brain. That's what you sound like. You like, oh my God, these people, man. Holy crap. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, those are the facts, right? But then they're like, oh no. See, I got this article from Breitbart that says that, if you wear a mask, then you're going to suffocate. Jesus Christ. So now anyway, all that aside, right? What's happening in Florida, you've got to do something about it. You have to do something about it. And what Florida's doing, the government of Florida, overall under Ron DeSantis, they don't really, I mean, he's been trying to hide the COVID numbers so that he can continue to reopen the state. In fact, under the direction of Governor DeSantis and the Florida Department of Health, the state consistently refused to inform the public about deaths and infections, mainly in Florida nursing homes, prisons, and now coronavirus deaths as documented by public medical examiners. They literally are hiding the truth from the people because Ron DeSantis wants to open up the state and then also not piss off Daddy Trump. I mean, that's what's going on, right? So Palm Beach County decided, again, they were going to take the recommendation from the CDC, which I understand has changed. Guess what? As our knowledge of the virus changes, so too do the recommendations. I mean, it's very, again, it's kind of simple how it works. And I can understand how people are like, well, wait a minute. The CDC said something else. Well, science, again, it changes, it evolves based on the knowledge of what we get. And so, yes, the CDC may say one thing, and then once they get new information, we'll go, oh, now we know something new, so let's update our recommendations. And that's what happens. That's how science works. And I can understand some people not knowing that, so that's why I'm saying that's how it works. That's how this whole thing works. So now, the recommendations from the CDC is that everybody wear masks outside and social distance, as well as inside, right? And so now Palm Beach County says, all right, we're going to make sure that these masks are worn in public places. We're going to make it mandatory, right? Because guess what? We're in a health emergency. You even have people who are skeptical of the masks mandates coming around and saying, actually, you know what? Maybe we should do something about this. Maybe we should change our mind. Because this was, an example of this, of course, is Vice Mayor Robert Weinroth, right? So now he said this, quote, I hate the idea of talking about mandatory mask face coverings. It goes against my grain. But The numbers we saw this week were just out of this world. So this is a guy who, again, was originally against mandatory masks. He's like, no way in hell, right? I really don't like the government telling me to wear a mask. He then looks at the numbers and goes, I think maybe they're right. Maybe we should wear some masks. You know how many cases we had in Florida just today? Over 5,000 new cases. One day alone. Now, in this country, in America, as of late, we've been experiencing somewhere around 20,000 new cases a day that we know of. So in one day, Florida accounted for about a quarter of that. That's a disaster. And I'm pretty sure those daily numbers are continuing to trend upwards now because of many places that are seeing spikes in coronavirus cases and as well as deaths. So, disaster. So now, yes, they voted afterwards to unanimously require masks in public places. And this is after and if you watch the whole thing, again, it's like 3.5 hours long. I try to watch as much of it as I could. They were being threatened, with citizen's arrest, which is hilarious, right? Being personally attacked by some of these people. These people who get their news from social media memes on Facebook, right? And posts on Twitter and from the president of the United States who hasn't met a conspiracy theory that he, hasn't immediately believed in. And so I'm glad they made the right decision. How they're going to enforce it is always an issue. I can admit that I'm not comfortable with police enforcing this, right? Like, I get it. You do have to have some incentive for people to wear the masks, right? But I don't like the idea of, police going around and saying, wear your mask or we'll beat your face in. I don't like that either, right? So I understand that. But understand that these same people, by the way, who are like, I can't believe that you would force the government to wear, the government would force us to wear a mask. Those are the same people who are like, Blue Lives Matter. Why don't you just listen to the police officer? Why don't you just follow the law? Ironic. Very ironic. So I just got to point that out. But look, there's one thing, and you got to put this in perspective because masks are uncomfortable. I get that, right? Well, what's more uncomfortable is a ventilator, a breathing tube shoved down your throat, breathing for you. That's pretty uncomfortable. Or, even if it doesn't happen to you, because, it's not always that severe for most people, right? But you could end up watching an immunocompromised family member get hauled away to the hospital and you can't go and see them. You can't go and visit them. You can't, you can barely communicate with them. Obviously, if they're sick enough, you can't see them. They could die without you. And so you may never see them again. And that's another different kind of pain, which is very, very uncomfortable, right? And so it's not fascism. It's not stomping on your rights to ask people or to mandate that you wear a mask during a public emergency, during a pandemic. It's just not. It's not going to kill you to wear a mask, especially if you're going to go shopping. It's just not. It's literally the most effective way that we have right now, aside from, having a vaccine, which we don't have right now, or really an effective treatment for people with mild symptoms to prevent them from spreading. We just don't have that, right? And so we've got to do what we got to do to limit the spread of COVID-19 and really to prevent the overloading of cases in hospitals, where we're seeing that in Arizona. We're seeing that now in, Texas, where it's getting really, really close. So much so that Governor Greg Abbott had to say, hey, we're going to, we're going to slow down in specific counties where we're seeing hotspots of elective surgeries to make sure that we have enough room for people with coronavirus. So we know this is a problem. So really, just wear the damn mask. And that's it. Just wear the mask. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.